I'd like to welcome you all to our weekly meeting. I'm Dr. Janice Little, and today we're going to be focusing on helping individual business owners with acquiring their UEI number. We'll welcome you into the call. Welcome, Ms. V and Ms. Karen. I understand you all have other obligations, which I do as well, but I wanted to make sure we have the call still. And today we're talking about UEI. And the first step is if you have your business formation, what we're encouraging you to do is go visit sam.gov to register your business. And if you need any assistance, feel free to reach out to myself or Karen Reese. She's also assisting with the support services of the business owners. So I'm in a meeting. We're actually about to start, but I'm going to keep it open and drop in the chat box different things you can start doing till we meet again next week. Next week, it will be interactive. So if you don't have it, or if you've had problems with acquiring it, we will be there for support, and it will be interactive, meaning that we will use Zoom again to share screen to walk you through the process. I have to get to class now, y'all.
Dr. Little, we want to definitely let them know that if they have different projects, different business ideas that they're trying to get funding, that they need to create a SAM unique number for each one of your business.
Okay, I guess, did we lose everybody?
I'm still here.
Okay, then.
And while we wait on Miss Janice, Miss B, I am going to be sharing your information. I happened to go to Fort Worth last night and met cousins that I didn't really know. And so as we were talking, one of them was sharing with me about some land that was taken from the family, and that she has been trying to find out how they could go about getting it back. So I shared with them that I would be sharing your information, that you specialize in that kind of stuff with tax liens and property being fraudulently taken. So I just wanted to give you the heads up that I will be passing on your information.
Thank you. That's one of the reasons why we received grant funding. And it's primarily hadn't been for us, although we're going to kind of start changing that, because research is very paramount to this business. And it's also very costly. Very timely. So our grant funding pretty much takes care of getting attorneys. I don't say this a lot because I don't want folk who can afford attorneys calling me saying that they can't. We spent like an hour on the phone yesterday interviewing this family, this lady, 80-year-old, before we decided to go down there. I'm taking a police officer, I'm taking a realtor, I'm taking a consultant, and myself And we're gonna go down there and make sure she records everything. And you're right, a lot of this stuff happens after they lose. We need to catch it before. It's easier. We need to catch it before and expose everybody. I'm taking a news crew down there next week, but I gotta look around. I gotta look at all the circumstances, gotta look, at everything. And then, so when I talk to people, it can make more sense. In this case, we're gonna get a news crew down there, but sometimes that's what it takes. These judges are corrupt.
Yeah.
The person who ended up with this 275 acres was actually the surveyor. I guess
Yeah.
I'm gonna be researching him to look up everything he got, contacting everybody to see if their stuff was done fraudulently. It's a system to this. So it's no such thing as used to lose, because we're still losing generational wealth. They're using our families to help do it now.
Yeah, she was kind of explaining that, it's heir property, but what they could have done was they went to a child is the heir, but the mother is not. And so the mother may be signed on behalf of the child, which is the heir. And that's how the loopholes of them getting the property, because the parent signed on behalf of the child, which is the heir.
And I'm gonna have to look up the current laws on that, because that may or may not be the way to do this. The sad thing about dealing with property like this, situations like this, it's a combination of tax law and civil law. You see what I'm saying? It's a mixture.
Yeah.
So I teach civil law parts of it. I have to be careful what I do in my courses, because I don't want to be accused of teaching, trying to be a lawyer on a trying to be a lawyer. I'm not. I have to make a disclaimer. Also, I do that about real estate, because a lot of times people say she teaches real estate. No, I do not. I'm not licensed to teach real estate. I teach tax lien investing, which is but it covers all of this stuff, because you can't have, so it's a way to cover what I need to tell my people about things like civil law that you have to know and understand. So it can be a mess out here, but one thing we better understand is, a friend of mine told me yesterday, and she reminded me, she's 90 years old. She said, if somebody else wants it, believe me, it's still worth much, much, much more than what you think it is. So yeah, I'm not sure that, it depends on the county. I'm not sure she can do that. Being because we got to look into what the paperwork says about leaving property to a minor. You see what I'm saying? First of all, we got to understand why that happened. That's the crux of it right in there. Why was this left to a minor, and how was it left to the minor? Was it set up in the trust? What? No, I don't mean, was, as you tell us it was, and I'm doubting you. I'm saying, was it really set up properly? Was it done properly and lawfully? Because again, we got to deal with civil law also is included in this. So, we would have to look that up too. And so one thing I don't do is I don't depend on people to tell me. They give me the outline, but we tend to I'm used to just legal terminology. It's the only way I can understand and follow the flow of things. And so when people say things like they get and tell a story and they forget and they start referring to common terms like they, and I have to stop them and say, what do you mean by they? I'm not being rude. I'm trying to still follow the story. Who is this player now? Has some new players jumped in here. So by me doing my own research, getting bits and pieces, I know, because I know how to check the records. And if the records aren't there, then I see what the openings are. And now we're talking about fraud. Inkjet signatures from judges, all of that, not acceptable, not lawful. People don't know that. Not acceptable, not lawful. It has to be original. And those copies better have original signatures as well. That kind of stuff. Doesn't seem like much. Very, 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 very important in these type of things, and reversing these verdicts from these crooked folks.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. You know, we here for the people. If there's anything we can do, we're definitely gonna see if we can do it. That's what my mission is. That's what we're here for. That's what our grant funding is for. And so yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. Dr. Little, where'd you go? See if she was.
She's still on. I know she's been chatting. Oh, she's here, but the session has started.
Oh,
So
she's in her class.
So maybe you need to go ahead. Look at me. Since you're and her working this together, maybe you should go ahead and finish. I mean, you know, and take over and let people know what they need to know.
Well, I'm actually driving.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but those who are on, I know we will probably come back on next week. There is a unique ID number you need to get on SAM.gov. And so we have, last week we actually did the Zoom and actually showed you how to get that number. And so we will come back next week again for those who haven't gotten that number, show you how to go and apply on SAM.gov and take you through the steps that you need to go through in order to get that number. And again, you're going to need a unique ID number for every business idea that you are applying for a grant for. Like I submitted like 5 different executive summaries. And so each one of my businesses need to get a unique ID number from SAM.gov. So just kind of let you know, if you submitted more than one, then you're going to have to go through the process twice or however many times in order to get that number, because SAM.gov is the website which the funding comes through. And so that's why you're getting a unique ID number to go towards the business that you are applying the grant for. And it's almost like your social security number is how they know who you are. And so this unique ID number is going to be how they know what business you are. That's the number that's been assigned to you. So just letting you know that, you know, you're going to have to apply multiple times for each business. And then, and I believe in order to do that, you need your business entity structure, your EIN number for your business. If you have a bank account for your business, these are all the type of things you're going to need in order to apply for your unique ID number. And if anyone has not done their executive summary, you can reach out to Dr. Little and I. You know, we can help you with getting it together and getting it submitted. So just, I know my email is Karen23_05@yahoo.com. You can email me or you can call me 972-489-8145 if you need help with creating your executive summary, if you need help with ChatGPT, if you need help with getting an EIN number, if you need any kind of help, just give me an email. You can email me or give me a call. And Dr. Little just gave her email as well, Dr. Janice Little. You can email her as well. So if you have any kind of questions, just reach out to it. That's what we're here for. Just trying to help each other get through the process, understand the process of what we're doing. So if anybody have any questions right now, you can come on and just ask the question. Those who are on the Zoom, if you have any questions, the floor is open. Okay. No questions. And again, next week we'll come back on. So Dr. Little, if there's no questions, we can go ahead and end the call early if you like. Or if anybody have any announcements, I wanted to announce that I'm launching the African American Toy Book because about 4 years ago, Toys R Us went out of business, and they every year they would put together a big toy book, and this toy book would identify all the toys that are coming out for Christmas. And God gave me an idea about a toy book. So I am launching a African American toy book where we can go and see our toys in one location versus having to bring up all these different sites of finding toys. And because when we go into the stores, they may have 5 black dogs compared to 100 white dogs. And so I'm launching this book, and so I'm trying to reach out to anybody that's selling any kind of black products, whether it's a children's book, black children's hair products, anything that I can put in the book that reduces a person trying to find your product, where we can put it in one location. This book is going to be available for digital download for like 99 cents, and part of the money is going to go towards helping 2 nonprofits. So anybody that has a product, it's only costing $50 to be put in the book, and you can put up to 5 products, and you will give me your link to your page for people to order. So people will be able to click a link and go to your page and place the order. So if you know of anybody that have any kind of children products they would like to, be a part of this book, just let me know. Other than that, do anybody have any other announcement of some things that you're doing in your community that you want to share on the Zoom call?
I do want to mention, and I see Marilyn is on here. Hey, Marilyn, it's me.
Hey, how y'all doing?
So I had called her this week to tell her, I know it's a lot going on, but I told her that some counties, some cities, some states, if you're a nonprofit, you can actually contact, when we hear the term over-the-counter sales, these are properties that are owned by various entities of the city, and that and that you can call and you can find out, if they tell them you're a nonprofit, find out if they have anything that they can sell you for $1 or rent to you for $1. I mean, it's worth a try. It happens. I've had people do that before. I've counseled people to do that in the past, and nonprofits to do that. Now, if they do, of course, it's going to be not a lot of red tape, but whatever paperwork the legal department deems that you would do in order to either purchase the property or rent the property. But those are just some of the things that you have to deal with just to get property for a dollar, but rental, purchase, yeah. So if properties don't sell at auction the first time, they come up the second time. And if they don't sell a second time, again, they end up going to the entity. Now in Texas, our tax dollar, our school districts, most counties, I know here in Harris County, but most large counties, your school districts get the largest part of your tax dollar. So when a property doesn't sell twice, it ends up getting a deeded over to the entity that owes the most money. That property owes the most money, and most cases it's the school districts, and that's why your school districts have a large inventory of property. Sometimes it's the county or the city, because if the city has put liens on it, grass cutting liens or demolition liens, then their lien may supersede or be far superior to the lien for the school district. So just have to do your research, but it's being done now. It's always been done, and that's just another avenue that people can go to through to get property, especially if they're a nonprofit, you know what I mean? So the government may not, they won't recoup everything. And so this is a way for them to just to recoup something at what's owed. But you want to make sure that, you get somebody to do a title search for you, because when a property doesn't sell at auction, there is a reason why. There's a reason why it doesn't say. Sometimes the taxes could be worth more than the value of the property. Homework does need to be done. So if anyone has a situation like that, I'm not going to do that part. Go ahead and call your government, your local governments, to see if they have anything, your school districts, your city and your county, see if they have anything available that they may be interested in. And then you can, if you get into some kind of negotiation, then you can call me and I'll go ahead and do a title search, and let's look at the title to see why this property did not sell. It could very well just be easements that could be fixed. It could very well be small things like that. But liens I can get removed. Certain liens I can get removed because I just happen to study the statute of limitations on liens. So that may or may not be a problem at all times, depending on the type of lien it is. And there's also, let you know, a statute of limitations on liens. They can only try to charge a person for even liens so long, just like taxes. There's a statute of limitations on taxes. So with all of those things in mind, don't let any of those things stop you from moving forward. Now, if you deal with property from the city, you'll have to maintain it. You'll have to, maybe, you don't have to they're not gonna do anything. The upkeep and all that is up to you. But I'm just giving you another avenue for those who didn't know, another avenue as to how to get buildings for your projects, not houses, but commercial buildings for your projects, or land for your projects that's owned by the government, local government.
Okay, is anyone else that has something to say? Miss Marilyn,
Yes, ma'am.
what you got to say? What's going on with you?
Okay, let's see. Just trying to straighten out, because I got that information back from sam.gov, and I had to go through it again because they rejected it for some reason or another. So I went through it again. I don't know why they might have, because you also have to have a cage number, I understand. Cage. And so I talked to the lady yesterday about that. And she said that I was supposed to have gotten an email within 3 days. And I was supposed to send back some information within 3 days after I got the email from sam.gov, but I never did get the email. And I searched and searched and searched and did not get one from Cage. So she wrote a ticket on it and so forth. And then I went back to sam.gov and spent a lot of time on that yesterday trying to see why I did not get the email from Cage. And so I went back through the whole process as if I was registering again. And I couldn't see, they didn't indicate what I did not fill in or what I did not, what I did wrong or whatever. I just went through it and submitted it again. So let's see what happens. I'm just waiting to see if it goes through this time. But okay. I'm still supposed to get something from Cage, though, because you're supposed to have not only a registration number from sam.gov, but you're supposed to also, Cage is CAGE. That's something that's connected. They're both connected. And so you have to be straight with Cage also in order for you to secure grants through them.
Okay, that's good to know. I haven't tried to apply. When I had somebody that created my LLC, she created my sam.gov number, but that was years ago. So I think that it has changed. We're adding this unique ID, and so I need to go ahead and apply. But I think on the last call we had with Dr. Daly, he gave us like an 800 number that we can call to see, and then maybe that's the number that you call to find out about our SAM.gov that can help you with that. So that's probably who you call, right?
Oh, yeah, I stayed on the phone quite a bit, talking to somebody from CageandSAM.gov, because what happened with one of the things that I tried to do with my SAM.gov is that I have a doing business ads, and I tried to go back in there, because it kept saying blank, blank. It has a path of life, but by doing business ads, it left it blank. And I couldn't figure out how to go back in there and add that DBA. And so I called them, and then the representative there took me to instructions on how to do it. He said, all I can do is take you to the instructions, and I couldn't figure out the instructions. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna just leave this for a minute. And then, because I think it stays in the system like 90 days or so, you can go back and you can amend or modify or whatever. So I just said, maybe I'll know exactly what to do later, or somebody else can help me with that, how to go back in there and add the DBA to it. Because I would not like to have happen, I am qualified for a grant at some point in time, and they say, well, that your number is based on Path of Life Incorporated, which is my official name, but you didn't have Path of Life Career Academy, which is my DBA. So that's why I thought it was important that I make sure that I have all the names in there, but I have not been able to add that name to it yet. So that's where I am with Sam. Yeah, and I've talked to those people. I mean, when I say I stayed on the phone for a minute yesterday, I did. Till I got frustrated. I said, wait a minute, I don't know. Well, I just went through the process again to just see if I get another email saying that I was rejected, because that's what it said before on the email. At first it said that, because I have a registration number. Last Saturday, when she took me through the process, in fact, who was that took me through the process last Saturday morning?
That was Dr. Little.
Okay, Dr. Little. Okay. Yeah. So in fact, she saved it for me. And I have my registration number for SAM.gov. And then it said that I had been successfully registered. And then I got an email later that said that it was rejected, but it has something to do with Cage. And I don't know.
It's about identifying vendors. That Cage number is that 5-digit number. It accompanies some of the SAM numbers, depending on who you're going to, you get funding for. I can see why a lot of us do not get government funding, because I tell you, the loops and the red, we call it red, I call it red tape, but it's not really red tape, just the steps you have to go through.
It's the truth.
Can be very, very, very,
tedious and frustrating.
Yes. And so this is why, but the thing is, we're doing the right thing. You don't give up. If you have to pull away for a few minutes and drink you some coffee or some tea, do that and start back over. This is where the area starts here, where we get lost out of things. Where we get don't have, out where we're not included, and where we're not, because it's cumbersome, where we're not, it's a reason why African Americans get less funding than everybody else. It's all of these things. Now I'm gonna tell you this. We've also done, I'm in a grants class through my contractor research class. And it hasn't always been like that. So let's not forget that a lot of rules today exist that didn't exist before. And that's to keep us out of stuff. So we have to be thankful for the ability to understand, for the ability to read with an understanding, for the ability to help people and get help, consultants and things like that, because a lot of people would not understand this if it wasn't for help. And sometimes we're not going to understand it until we actually get in the throes of things. So when you have people who are helping, like Karen and Dr. Little, it's a blessing because there are people who will trust you to go step by step, even though they may not understand what they're doing. If you just do, and a lot of times, if I just realize too, if we just do it, then we'll be okay. And then sometimes the understanding is just on the other side, not understand it all until we have to actually apply stuff. But you're right, you don't get to know about these things until you get into it. Sam's and then Cage, all of these numbers are important.
And I'm
Yeah, the
glad
lady, she was
figuring it
very,
out right
and
now.
the lady that called me that I talked to from K, she was very, very helpful. She was really trying to figure out, why I did not receive the notification. Because see, they rejected the SAM.gov rejected it later on because I did not respond to an email that I did not get, because I was supposed to respond within 3 days. And I looked, and she was on the phone. We were on the phone at least 30 minutes, And I looked, she said, well, I believe you. She said, but she said, I cannot do anything about it until you receive that email. So she wrote up a ticket, and then she asked me to go back through the application, the gov.gov, and see if there was anything that I needed to change. She said, could be just an email problem, that I didn't put the right email in there. So I did go back through it, and there was one place, I received email from Sam, but if Cage went, because she said that what happens is that when they that the system goes through all that process, and they don't know how to separate certain things, so if the system picks up something incorrectly, like an incorrect number, incorrect letter or something. So she said, just go back and make sure that you had your email address in there correctly. Well, I did go back in there. One place I had my email in there, and it had .gov twice. .org twice. I said, well, let me change that and see if that makes a difference. Because if the system picked up .org, then that means that it was going to throw it out, because that's not a proper email. So I changed it. So I'm gonna see what's gonna happen now that I went through the whole process. And when you go through
that may be the reason why it was rejected. It may not be anything you did other than that email. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm. Now Gov sent me email, so it couldn't be on their end. It may be why Cage rejected. It has to do with Cage, because Sam has my email, because I kept receiving emails from Sam. Sure. Okay, but Cage is the one that may not have gone through on their end. The right email may not have gotten to them. So I went in there and I fixed that. So I'm just waiting to see, okay, what's gonna happen next. I just left it alone.
Hopefully this is it.
Well, I need to change that DBA. And then I talked to somebody from Sam. He kept giving me instructions. I said, well, are you telling me what to do in order to add my DBA? He said, and he was so dry. He was so cut and dry. Okay, he said, I'm giving you the directions, the instructions. I said, but you take me to a place where I can make the change. I'm giving you the instructions on where to go to make the change. So when I saw he was not going to say anything other than that, he was like a robot. And I said, okay, well, let me just read the instructions. Let me go back and read the instructions. And I really couldn't figure it out. I said, well, maybe I'm tired. I just wait and I go back in there when I'm rested, when I don't, when I can read the instructions and see if I can figure out where to go to add the DBA, because that's all I know that I need to do at this point. Is add that DBA. So, and I know what the instructions are, because I wrote that down, where to find the instructions, okay, of how to change it. It's just that I couldn't, even when I tried to read the instructions and tried to follow the instructions, I still didn't see where I could really make the change. So anyway, it's probably, once I go back to it, it may be pretty simple the next time. But like I said, I've been talking to those people for a couple of hours, and it was like, okay, It's time to get up and do something different. So I'm gonna go back in there, probably tomorrow, next day, and see if I can add my DBA. Cause I don't want, if I do qualify for a grant, then they're gonna, then that conflict comes up where they say, well, we asked you about, you didn't indicate that you were doing business as blah, blah, blah. You see what I mean? So I don't want
Yeah,
that to
can
be.
you explain to me about your DBA? So you're putting your DBA under what, a LLC or not?
But I have a nonprofit organization. Path of Life Inc. is my nonprofit organization. When I started working on starting a school, I went back to the Secretary of State and I changed it to a DBA. And I've done that a couple of times since I've had the organization. So I got approval to do business as Path of Life Career Academy. I was not able, I didn't see anywhere when I filled out that DBA, when I filled out the SAM.gov, I didn't see anywhere in there where it says put in your DBA.
Okay,
I
now
would have added it there.
Okay, you said you were a nonprofit, and then you said you changed it to a DBA. So I'm confused about what you just said you did. So you added the DBA under the nonprofit?
With Secretary of State, but on SAM.gov, there is a space for you to add your DBA under your official name. You can also,
but I'm trying to understand what you did on the Secretary of State. I was just trying to understand that.
I sent back to the Secretary of State and asked them for a DBA to change my
under your nonprofit or change it, because that means two different things. So I'm really trying to understand that.
It's still the official name that I got chartered under. My articles of when I first started my nonprofit was Path of Life Incorporated, 1995. Path of Life Incorporated. Since then, I've been doing business as other names. More recently, I've just changed it within the last couple of months to Path of Life Career Academy. That's my most recent DBA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still under the same incorporation, though.
Okay.
So you went to the Secretary of State and added a DBA under your nonprofit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to go to the Secretary of State just to create a DBA.
Well, with a nonprofit, I think you do.
No, that's why I'm trying to understand your path and what you're saying, because I have just nonprofits that I could go down to the Dallas County and create not a nonprofit, but a DBA. I pay $20 to create a DBA.
Mm-hmm.
But to get under the business structure under the Secretary of State, I have my LLC and I can attach DBAs under my LLC. So that's why I was trying to understand, did you actually do the DBA under your nonprofit at the Secretary of State?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I did for $25.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then are you gonna have a separate bank account for that DBA?
No, same one. Because as the
go ahead.
Because as the school, when we get chartered for the school, our board becomes the same board. The same board that I have for Path of Life Incorporated is the same board that we're going to have. It just changes over to the school. It'll be the board for the school. So it's not a separate entity. It's the same entity. I'm just doing business as another name.
As another name. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just doing business as Path. It's still Path of Life Incorporated, but I'm doing business as Path of Life Career Academy.
under that, for that nonprofit, did you change your article um, to, add, did you change anything under that nonprofit to add that DBA in your articles?
In my articles, I have amended my articles. I'm in the process of amending, but I amended the articles under Path of Life Incorporated.
To say that, hey, we got a DBA that is going to be a charter school? Because what is your article? Is your article saying anything about you doing a school, or is that what? I mean, what is your nonprofit? What's your mission and goal of your nonprofit?
You mean when I started in 1995?
Yeah, did it have anything to do with a school? Because now you just
It had to
added a
do with
DBA.
youth. It was always been a youth development program. It's
Okay,
always
okay.
been for at-risk students. Always
Okay.
work with kids. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is in line. But I'm like, it's not in line, so I have to amend it to accommodate what you're doing as the charter, but you have that in there. Okay.
Right. And I did have to add I did amend some of the bylaws to adapt it to what we would be doing as a school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
we did do, I had to do that. And another thing I probably will have to do also is, since our board members have changed since then, I'm gonna have to go back in there again, it seems like, and add the board members, the new board members, because they're gonna have to be in the, when I submit the application for the charter school, the name of the present board members will have to be a part of the Articles of Incorporation. Because they have changed over the years, you know. So, but the TA is gonna be very strict about making sure that all those, the people I have now will be listed as the board members. So I'm gonna have to go back in there at some point in time to make those changes. And I have to go do that through the Secretary of State. That's the only way. I had heard at one point that you didn't have to do a DBA that way, but it brought the, I thought, or somebody told me, if you have a business, you know, you don't have to go through the state. You have a profitable business, that is, you don't have to go through the state and make those changes. But I've just always made the changes through Secretary of State.
Yeah, because you can start a DBA without having to go to the Secretary of State. You just pay that same $15 that your, revenue on. You go create a fictitious. It's called fictitious filing, which is the same thing as a DBA. So, like, my tax business was just a DBA until this year I changed it to LLC and filed it with the Secretary of State. But before, it was just a sole proprietor DBA, but it was under my Social Security number. And so now that I have it as LLC, then it has its own EIN number, and getting my Social Security number off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Secretary of State, that's your form of protection and stuff. So when you did the okay, I know you filed as a nonprofit Secretary of State. Did you do the filing for the federal to get your 501 status?
Well, I've had that since 1995 also. We're 501c3.
Okay, so once you got it with the IRS, then you went back to the Secretary of State and submitted your paperwork there again as well.
No.
Yeah, so I'm a 501c3 for Secretary of State, right? And then I filed it for the federal, but the Secretary of State said I needed to come and let them see that the IRS, the 501c3 was accepted with them, and I had to file a paperwork with the Secretary of State again. I had to show them that the IRS accepted it as a 501c3. That was another step you have to do with the Secretary of State.
Yeah, but mine was always filing with IRS. It was always, I guess I did that second step back in 1995 when I started the organization.
Yeah, but the second step is with the Secretary of State.
Yeah, that's,
I filed it with the Secretary of State, then I filed it with the IRS, then the Secretary of State said I need to send them my paper from the IRS to do the second step with the Secretary of State. There's another step. Now, and there's a form that you fill out when you send it in. I need to look for it, but just,
yeah, well, let me look back and see, because I have all that paperwork from back there, and I don't know whether I actually followed that step or not, but I will check
and
to
then
see.
again, it could be something that just went into place, because like you said, you filed it over 20-some years ago. It could
Yeah,
be something
24 years ago.
yeah, that they put into place, like, when I did mine, because I did mine in 21. And when I was talking to the Secretary of State, they told me about another form that I had to send that letter into them, and that would be it. That's the second
It's
step.
called a letter of determination, right? Letter of determination.
Yeah, but the form with the Secretary of State was another form you just had to fill out and mark it, and you send that letter, the termination, to them.
So what was the purpose of you having to do that, though? I'm trying to hear. Because once you have a 501c3, that is federal. That's through the IRS, and anybody that gives to your organization, they are tax exempt.
No. Yeah, but you're talking about two different entities. You talk about the state and you talk about the federal. Because you can be a nonprofit with the state and not be a nonprofit with the federal. So that's why you have to file the paperwork with the federal, and that's what you did. But then the state, I need to look it up. But I know I had to send in the letter from the IRS back to the state to do the second step for the state. And I need to look it up. Let me look it up, and then I will let you know what that form is.
Well, I know this. At the end of every year, you have to file a 990.
Yeah, or you can file an e-card, and so you don't have to do
I'm just saying, yeah. But I mean, that's federal, right?
Yeah, that's federal. That don't have nothing to do with the state, though.
Right.
I'm talking about the state.
Well, yeah, I guess that's something to check into. But, that's something to check into, because that never has come up in all these years, but it might come up, and we haven't, we are expanding now, trying to expand to a school. So, we've been very small and haven't really got a lot of money coming in to begin with. But, I want to make sure that I've done everything I need to do. And at that particular time, I knew I had, because
Right.
I was following the steps that they had given me of everything that I need to do in order to get up and running. So that question has not come up before. But if that's something that I need to do, look up yours and then share it with me, and then I'll see if that's something I've already done and just forgotten it over the years.
Okay.
That could very well be too, in 24 years. I mean, I could have done a whole lot of things and and don't remember exactly everything that was done at that particular point, especially if it doesn't come up as being a problem. You know what I mean? If it doesn't, it's not anything that would have caused me to have a conflict at some point in time. So yeah. Let's see. Let me know, Karen, if that's something that if it's something that you can share with me, if you look it up, and I'll see whether it's something I've already done. Okay.
Okay, I will.
No problem. I see somebody send some chat. Let me see what this chat says. We are learning as we go. Okay, that's what Dr. Little says. We're learning as we go. Exactly. Maybe a flaw in the system. Okay, we should look at that. What does she mean? A flaw in the system?
Oh, when you was talking about you not getting that email.
Oh, yeah. That Cage email that I didn't get. Yeah.
Yeah. you're teaching us another step that we didn't necessarily know. And so that's good that you brought that up. So we'll know to look out for that and find out why did that happen to you, so we can
Right.
avoid it for other people.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah, because I knew nothing about Cage. I thought I was done with that. After I got my number last Saturday, after I got my number and everything, I said, okay, well, I'm in. And Dr. Lil said the same thing, but then here we go. I got an email and it says that you know, that it,
and you know what? One thing that I was trying to apply for a grant. It was a media grant for production for my documentary, and I had someone that she had did it, and we were trying to submit it, and found out there was another step that we needed to do that we didn't even know nothing about, that they have added to it, and that's they have a workspace that they created that you have to go sign up for. And so that's another thing that we can put on to do on our Zoom, is to go and apply for that workspace, because I couldn't apply for my grant because I didn't know about it, and I was waiting to the ninth hour to submit my grant, and because this thing wasn't created, I couldn't even submit it. So it is another step that we have to do as far as submitting grants for grant.gov. There is another step that we have to create this other workspace type of thing. And so we're going to.
But the workspace comes up when you go to sam.gov. The workspace is on that website. Once you have that, you get your number. Once you get your number, because that's where he kept taking me to when I was trying to make the changes. I had to click on workspace. So once you get your number and you go to sam.gov, then that workspace is on that. It's on that website.
Yeah, it is. So the other thing is us making sure that it's up and available. I'm just saying, because I didn't know that, and I was trying to submit, and there was another step that I didn't know, and I couldn't submit. So those are the type of things that as we go, we're going to learn to make sure all these different things are connected. And so when we do get ready to submit, okay, we got our ID, we got our workspace, we know about Cage, we know about everything that could possibly come up that could hinder us from applying. We're going to already know. And so I'm just saying, that's good that we're learning about these things right now, so we can get them corrected. Now, that'll be a part of our checklist. Check, make sure this is done. Check, make sure this is done, and we'll be able to educate people on that. And so, and we'll be ready to submit when it's time.
Yeah, they don't make it easy for you. I know that. They don't make it easy for you.
Right. So, as far as him saying that he made it more easier, well, putting these little things, but I guess the part of protection, making us go through these systems. And
well, he said he made it easier. You talking about this Nathan? Say he made it easier?
No, as far as Biden saying he made it easier, more accessible, but we got to go through all these little different websites.
Oh.
So
that
ain't. But it's just us learning and making sure our stuff.
Yeah. Once we get familiar with the system and so forth, I guess we'll be able to help other people to get through.
Yes.
Right.
All right, it's 10 o'clock hour. Dr. Clutter, I don't know if you're gonna have last words or we're gonna just go ahead and close. You might be still in your class. Oh, just close. Okay, you guys, thanks for staying on. We learned about Cage. Marilyn's gonna let us know how, as she learns how that affected her and what she did or did not do. So we'll know what to do and not to do as we we are applying for our unique ID. So we'll probably be back next week to those and have not applied who maybe who will listen to this recording. We'll come back next week and walk you through on how to apply for your unique ID and making sure we're all ready for to apply for these grants. So you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next week.
Okay, all right. God bless everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.